My name is Meg, and today we're gonna learn about books. Specifically, let's talk about young adult literature. Young adult lit is an interesting genre. Are they books that are just meant for teenagers? Maybe. Do they fit into other adult or children's genres? Sometimes. And that is exactly what's so fascinating about young adult literature. It's super versatile. There's young adult fiction, fantasy, mystery, romance, horror, and everything else. But these are still just subgenres of young adult literature. So what makes young adult literature just for young adults? Why is it labeled that way? And what falls into that category? I've done some research and I've come to some conclusions, and I have decided that young adult literature, as a genre, has certain commonalities that are outside of standard literature. First, young adult literature generally focuses on a protagonist who is either in their teenage years or their early 20s. This protagonist often deals with bigger social challenges or issues of survival, while also tackling the challenges of youth. This includes personal and emotional challenges of not fitting in or feeling different. Second, young adult literature is easier to read. It contains less of a variety of language and ideas. That's not to say young adult literature isn't intelligent, it is. It's just more understandable and more approachable than other adult titles. Third, young adult literature is accessible for readers of all ages, but is generally geared towards people who are between the ages of 12 and 25. So those are the basic requirements I've found for a book to be considered young adult. Now let's talk about a series that's beloved by all ages. The Lord of the Rings book series is insanely popular in all age groups. They appeal to children who are still in grade school, teenagers who want to experience Middle-earth read them, and there are adults who often read the books or find them for the first time. Another thing about young adult novels is that they have mass appeal, just like Lord of the Rings. But does that make Lord of the Rings young adult novels? Let's look at the facts. Frodo, though he isn't exactly a child, is a younger character who has no parents and generally doesn't fit in with the other hobbits. He has a mentor named Gandalf, but has no one oppressor. There's Sauron, but he's really just the puppet master making Frodo's life more difficult. He's a direct oppressor to Aragorn, but Aragorn really isn't the main character. Really, Frodo's villains come in stride, and just happen to be whoever's in his way at the time. Frodo has several friends. Frodo also makes many friends along his journey. He's not really a loner. There is no romantic interest surrounding the main character. There are love interests and epic loves for secondary characters, most notably Aragorn and Arwen, but no love triangle actually exists for Frodo. And no, I don't count Aragorn and Éowyn as having a love triangle. That was the movie taking creative license. The book is not written in plain language and actually adds additional complexity by adding new languages to the already dense conversations. For example, the kings and their followers little by little abandoned the use of the Eldarin tongues, and at last the 20th king took his royal name, the Numeronian form, calling himself Ad-Dukenakor, the Lord of the West. This seemed ill-omened to the faithful, for hitherto they had given that title only to one. On top of that, the themes of the book are huge and difficult. They go way beyond that of personal and emotional coming-of-age struggles. Lord of the Rings details entire histories of the struggle between good and evil, and the horrors that evil entails. Therefore, the book is extremely graphic and descriptive. My conclusion, then, is this. With the evidence presented, it's hard to deny that even though Lord of the Rings has mass appeal and is read by people of all ages, it's actually a high fantasy novel intended for a mostly adult audience. Now, a book such as The Hobbit was intended for children. It's colorful, it's creative, it's fun and adventurous. However, Lord of the Rings was written as a dark, dense, heavy conclusion, burdened with glorious purpose. Therefore, J.R.R. Tolkien skipped right over the teenage years, catering to the audience of his children's book by writing to them as adults. So Lord of the Rings is not young adult literature. It's regular old high fantasy. That's all I have for today. I'll see you next time on Meg Analyzes Books for Class. Stay sweet!